Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
This program is brought to you by the Southwest TV Translator Association and supported by the Dolores County Broadcasting Network on DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best news and local weather for the Four Corners region and brings it to you. Give us your feedback and news alerts at 677-4119.
With all that said, I'm Kendra Cook and my co-host is Kelsey Kiesling. And now for April 19th, 2016, here's the news. Reported in the Durango Herald, the Colorado House last Thursday gave final approval to a measure that would allow a quick response to emergency mine spills, such as Gold King. The bill would authorize the use of emergency funds anytime hazardous circumstances exist at a legacy mine site. The Colorado Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety is currently allowed to use the funds only if the site is subject to the division's regulatory authority. Legacy sites are hard rock mining operations that were abandoned prior to July 1st, 1976. The bill follows the devastating August 5th Gold King mine spill, in which an estimated 3 million gallons of orange mining sludge poured into the Animas River. The Environmental Protection Agency has acknowledged fault in the incident, which occurred during excavation work at the mine north of Silverton. The EPA was hoping to begin restoration work, but instead caused a blowout that leaked toxic heavy metals, including lead, aluminum, and copper. The agency is working on a Superfund designation, which would inject federal dollars into permanent restoration efforts at about 50 mining-related sites near Silverton. It is also working on water monitoring plans. It passed the House 63-2 and now heads to the Senate for consideration.
According to the Durango Herald, an 8-year-old girl is dead and 2 other children were airlifted to Albuquerque after a 2-vehicle head-on collision Monday morning on the La Plata Highway, Colorado Highway 140, just north of the New Mexico state line. Captain Adrian Driscoll of the Colorado State Patrol said 6 people were taken to area hospitals after the crash, which was reported at 8:25 a.m. Nyesha Candelaria, 32, of Durango, was driving a 2005 Chevrolet Uplander north with 4 passengers, the 8-year-old girl, a 1-year-old girl, a 9-year-old boy, and a 7-year-old boy, when she collided with a southbound 2009 Kia Sorento driven by Mindy Walk, 38, of Hesperus. Candelaria, both girls, and the 9-year-old boy were taken to San Juan Regional Medical Center in Farmington, where the 8-year-old girl was pronounced dead. The 1-year-old girl and the 9-year-old boy were airlifted from Farmington to the University of New Mexico Hospital in Albuquerque later Monday in critical condition, but by Monday evening at 9:15 p.m., the charge nurse at the pediatric intensive care unit said they were stable. The 7-year-old boy and Walk were taken to Mercy Regional Medical Center in Durango. Both drivers have serious injuries, and the 7-year-old has moderate injuries, officials said. Details of the crash are unclear, but the State Patrol is investigating. Driscoll said no alcohol or drugs are suspected, but Candelaria may have been speeding.
From the Durango Herald, for 50 or so volunteers cleaning the banks of the Animas River on Sunday, the trash is a sad reminder of the careless littering that draws the need for such an event. In its 3rd year, the Water Justice Project sponsored cleanup removed 1,286 pounds of trash from the banks of the Animas River, running through the city limits. The total haul from Sunday evening's cleanup exceeded the total last year when volunteers picked up 1,100 pounds. Jack Klim, an organizer, said the April numbers are probably so high because it's the Water Justice Project's first cleanup of the year. It will be followed by several other similar trash removal days. Organizers of the Water Justice Project, a Fort Lewis College student group, sent about 20 to 30 volunteers to each end of town. They picked up trash as they worked their way to the middle at Rotary Park. For the first time this year, Water Justice Project volunteers were able to separate trash and recyclables, even placing cigarette butts in their own bag for a repurposing project. Klim said a multitude of local companies contributed food, drinks, and other resources to keep volunteers fueled.
According to the Durango Herald, the woman who drove into the Animas River and was later arrested on suspicion of drunken driving has been identified as Amber Box, 30, of Ignacio. Around 2 a.m. Sunday, Durango police got a report of a Toyota pickup in the middle of the Animas River off U.S. Highway 550/160 north of Santa Rita Park, said Corporal Brian Heaton. Box was supposedly driving southbound on U.S. Highway 550-160 between the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge railroad lot and the wastewater treatment plant when her vehicle went off the right side of the road where the river bends. Lieutenant Ray Shoup said it took crews from Durango Fire Protection District and Bodine's Towing about 3.5 to 4 hours to extract the car from the Animus, which was running about 900 cubic feet per second. Rhonda Villasenor, a general manager at Bodine's, said it wasn't the first time the company was tasked with recovering a vehicle from the Animus. We have 50-ton rotators, which are amazing, Villasenor said. We use them to recover off Red Mountain Pass, stuff like that. This one was pretty unique, only because how she got down there and what she went over to get there. Durango police said Box was not seriously injured and was found nearby with her clothes drenched. Investigators later found probable cause to arrest the Ignacio woman on suspicion of drunken driving. Box's bond was set at $750.
According to the Durango Herald, Colorado kids are not smoking more pot since the drug became legal, but their older siblings and parents certainly are, according to a long-awaited report giving the most comprehensive data yet on the effects of the state's 2012 recreational marijuana law. The state released a report Monday detailing changes in everything from pot arrests to tax collections to calls to poison control. Surveys given to middle schoolers and high schoolers indicate that youth marijuana use didn't rise significantly in the years after the 2012 vote. Anonymous surveys given to about 40,000 Colorado students before and after legalization showed no significant change in marijuana use by children younger than 18 in the preceding 30 days. Among high school students, use went from about 23% in 2005 to about 20% in 2014. Similarly, there was no significant change in use by kids younger than 13 in recent years. But Colorado youth were much more likely than kids in other states to use marijuana, both before and after legalization, according to a national survey. About 13% of Colorado minors, aged 12 to 17 in 2014, had used marijuana in the last 30 days, compared with about 7% of minors the same ages nationwide. While use of the drug did not increase significantly among children, it did jump among adults. Relying on data from the National Drug Use Survey, Colorado reported that nearly a third of Coloradans 18 to 25 in 2014 had used pot in the last 30 days, a rise of about 5% from the year before recreational pot was legalized. The survey showed a similar spike in adults older than 26. Past 30-day marijuana use went up 7.6% to 12.4% from 2012 to 2014. The report comes 3 years after lawmakers ordered the State Department of Public Safety to start tracking law enforcement activity related to pot. A major argument of pro-legalization activists was that legal pot would result in fewer arrests, allowing police to focus on what some consider more serious crimes. Traffic safety data related to legalization was limited, mostly because Colorado didn't collect data on marijuana-impaired driving before 2012. The number of Colorado State Patrol summons issued for driving under the influence of marijuana dropped slightly from 674 to 655 from 2014 to 2015. Traffic fatalities in which a driver tested positive for marijuana's psychoactive chemical, THC, increased 44% in the first 2 years of legalization. The report said there were no discernible trends in illegal pot cultivation on public land, which includes most of Colorado's ski resorts. And one last note, that more Coloradans are calling poison control reporting marijuana-related exposure. Pot calls went from 44 in 2006 to 227 in 2015. Most likely the higher use of edibles and figuring out the dosage.
According to the Cortez Journal, runoff from autumn storms kicked up the levels of some contaminants in the Animas River after a massive spill of toxic mine waste. But concentrations of other pollutants declined or didn't change, researchers said Friday. A report released by the Environmental Protection Agency could offer clues about what will happen to the river this spring and summer when melting snow from the San Juan Mountains makes the waterway run higher, potentially stirring up pollutants that had settled to the bottom after the spill. But the researchers said they couldn't be sure that the pollutants they measured came from the Gold King mine, source of the 3 million gallon spill last August, or if they were from other mines that riddled the area. They also said they didn't have enough historical data to know whether storms that hit after the Gold King spill stirred up more pollutants than the ones before it. The nonprofit Mountain Studies Institute in Silverton monitored the river for the EPA in Durango, about 60 miles downstream from the mine, and compiled a report. 7 storms increased the flow of the Animus in Durango between August 9th and October 26th. Concentrations of 6 contaminants increased after some of those storms, including aluminum and copper, the Institute's report said. Levels of mercury and 5 other contaminants decreased after some storms, while the levels of 7 others didn't change. And now, here's our weather report.
The low-pressure system we've been under for several days continues to spin over Colorado, still rotating moisture in from the north. A chance of rain and snow showers will continue for parts of the state, mostly northern and northeastern today and tonight as it moves out. By late tonight, the center of the low will be over western Nebraska. The clouds over southwest and central Wyoming, though, will still be rotating through the northern parts of Utah and Colorado, with some activity still occurring over some of the mountains and northern areas, with some possibility of reaching the southern mountains into tomorrow. But Wednesday will still begin a warming trend that will last through the work week. Friday will bring in another system with showers, mild temps, and the snow altitude will be quite high. Mid-range forecasts indicate chances of precipitation through the work week into next week. An isolated upper-level low linked to an almost stationary front from the Midwest to the southern plains will create many showers and thunderstorms over the next couple of days. Excessive rainfall and flooding in Texas, with the possibility of flash flooding, will move northward into Oklahoma and Kansas as well today. The system that has been circling over Colorado will move to the east Wednesday and begin to reach into the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. The Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states will stay warm and dry through the middle of the week, with many areas reaching 15 to 25 degrees above average through tomorrow. By Friday, there is now a system well off the west coast that will then bring moisture into our area, New Mexico and Old Mexico as well, and we here in the Four Corners should be within the northern reaches to see weekend storms. So our 5-day looks like this. Tonight's lows will be right around freezing with a steady rise to the lower 40s by Friday, then lowering to upper and middle 30s with the arrival of the weekend storms. Highs this week will rise to the upper 60s and lower 70s through Saturday, and then Sunday will be back to the lower 60s. Mostly sunny conditions till Friday, being mostly cloudy, with Saturday and Sunday bringing in those Colorado spring showers and thunderstorms. And now, back to you, Kelsey.
According to the Cortez Journal, Mayor Karen Sheik proclaimed April 18th through 22nd as Cowboy Poetry Week in Cortez. Sheik also proclaimed May 8th through 14th as Southwest Colorado's Sportsman's Week. The Ultimate Outdoor and Gun Show will take place at the Montezuma County Fairgrounds from May 13th through 15th. The council also approved awarding a $60,000 contract to SGM Incorporated of Glenwood Springs for a hydraulic modeling system of the city's water distribution system. The city received 6 bids for the modeling system. 2 bids were too expensive, said Public Works Director Phil Johnson, and a $30,000 bid didn't meet the request for the proposal's requirements, he said. A $28,600 bid, the least expensive option, was rejected because the engineering firm was not as well qualified as SGM, Johnson said. The department also received a $25,000 grant from the Department of Local Affairs to cover some cost of the project. Also in the council's consent agenda, members approved the renewal of a hotel and restaurant liquor license for Elm Street Tavern and Conquistador Golf Course, renewal of a 3.2% beer retail liquor license for the Maverick convenience store at 455 State Street and the Giant convenience store at 921 East Main Street, and renewal of a retail marijuana license for Durango Organics.
From the Denver Post, last summer, hikers with bizarre backpacks could be seen trekking the trails in the Garden of the Gods, climbing stairs at Red Rocks Amphitheater, and peering at the gorillas in the Denver Zoo. And now we know why. Google Maps sent the wanderers to places where no Google Street View car has gone before. On Tuesday, more than 30 virtual off-street tours of Colorado hiking trails and tourist attractions go live online, with much of the physical work work done by employees of Visit Denver and Visit Estes Park, the city visitor bureaus. Google Street View Maps, which rolled out around 2007, let people remotely see what it's like to walk down actual streets. Using cameras atop cars to capture a 360-degree view of driving down the street, Google's process takes those images and stitches them together so people online are immersed in a scene. They can turn left, right, or look behind to see what one would see if driving down the street. But in places where cars aren't allowed, Google started its Trekker Loan program in 2012. The Grand Canyon was one of the first locations to get a street view tour. There, the Google Maps team snapped 9,500 images of the national park to map out 75 miles of hikes, according to a 2013 story by Wired magazine. Google, which has a large office in Boulder, wanted to do something in Colorado. Last summer, it reached out to local visitor agencies. While Google's own team handled the Flatirons, volunteers from Estes Park and Denver visitor bureaus did the hikes using the Trekker. Enclosed in a round case, this 360-degree camera is perched atop the Trekker backpack, as if a giant-headed space alien is piggybacking on the hiker's back. They had 2 people on site at all times, one with the pack and the other person letting people ahead know what was happening. Google's software automatically blurs out faces and certain words, they say, including some of the signage at the Denver Zoo. In all, 32 off-street locations in Colorado were added Tuesday to Google Maps.
According to the Cortez Journal, a crowd of 150 pirates had a swashbuckling good time at the annual Dolores Chambers Spring Banquet Saturday night. Pirates of the Dolores River was the theme this year, and people came wearing creative costumes complete with swords, bandanas, eye patches, long beards, pirate hats, and flowing dresses and sashes. Dr. Alan Burnside and his wife Linda were honored as Dolores Citizens of the Year, and GST Liquor was awarded the Dolores Business of the Year. The Burnsides run a popular medical clinic in Dolores and donate a lot to the community. The Burnsides are well known for their generous spirit, added announcer Scott Cooper, superintendent of Dolores Schools. The Burnsides hosts a kids' bike rodeo every Escalante days and give away dozens of bikes to local children. Every year, the couple provides student athletes free physicals, saving each student $35. And as a licensed raffle official and Dolores Rotary leader, Dr. Burnside hosts regular raffles and monthly bingo games at the Dolores Community Center. The money raised helps pay for the Dolores Christmas decorations, scholarships for kids, the teen maze, the galloping goose, clean water in other countries, plus more.
From the Durango Herald, they reported that the James Ranch has become an iconic landmark in Durango, known for its lush pastures and fresh food. And now, the deeply rooted family has taken steps to ensure the bulk of the 420-acre property will remain that way for generations. Recently, the Jameses placed a 4th and final parcel of their land in the North Animas Valley into a conservation easement, which secures limited development and a dedication to agricultural use for what the family says is forever. It was a decision the 22-member family unanimously made almost a decade ago. Kay and David James purchased the land in 1961. Started in the state of Colorado in the late 1990s, the Conservation Easement Program is a voluntary agreement between a landowner and a land trust government that holds permanent restrictions on development in turn for tax incentives. Amy Schwartzbach, executive director of La Plata Open Space Conservancy, said not every property owner who applies for the easement is granted the designation. The land must hold significance to the community, she said. If there's one resource that Durango has really realized we cherish, it's the Animas River, and that particular property is along the Animas River corridor, and it's also in full view of the San Juan Scenic Byway. So it's a huge asset to keep that rural, pastoral open space that people come here for, she said. David and Kay James, California natives, were traveling around the West when they happened upon the land that would become their home. At the time, David was 21 and Kay 20. They now have 5 children and 10 grandchildren. The family raised purebred cattle, but realizing the need to diversify, it started a real estate and landscaping business. But in the 1970s, when the cattle business tanked, the family was forced to sell 100 acres for the ranch subdivision. Despite these efforts, the ranch was struggling financially. In the mid-1980s, the family was presented with another transformative proposal, a golf course. With most of the children finishing college and the ranch's future at stake, the Jameses called a family meeting. Instead of returning to the old ways of cattle business, the ranch instead would be diversified among family members, each responsible for their own endeavors with the land. Among the long list of successful operations at the ranch, Dan and Becca James head the dairy farm, which has delicious cheese, I may add. Joe and Jennifer Wheeling are in charge of the gardens. Cynthia Stewart and her husband Robert operate the Harvest Grill and Greens. Julie and her husband John manage the pastured egg and tree farm, and David and Kay still run cattle. Their other son, Justin, is a co-owner in Sirius Texas Barbecue. In the mid-2000s, the family questioning what the ranch should look like in the next 100 years again came to an undivided consensus. The land should never be sold off and developed. The Jameses left a small parcel not under a conservation easement to leave open options that otherwise would be restricted by the designation. Already, the next generation of Jameses is brimming with ideas for the land. Ott's son, Gunther, 23, runs the pastured pig operation, and her other son, Abe, 19, is excited for what the future holds. Kay James, 75, said she never thought when she and David purchased the land in an estate sale all those years ago, nearly all their children would return and work the land. She said the love of this valley and this land is in our hearts. We see ourselves as stewards of the land, to preserve it and enrich it. The ranch is north of Durango, just north of Hermosa off Highway 550.
And now the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of April 11th through April 17th. Investigations in progress on 2 separate reports of juvenile assaults. A deputy assisted a motorist change a tire. Deputies arrested Corwin M. Gray on an outstanding warrant out of the Cortez Police Department. That's it for today's Roundup. Stay tuned this week for more updates. And now for a quick, funny story from Westward.com. In 2008, a black bear ran onto the green during the second round of the U.S. Senior Open in Colorado Springs, crossing a couple of fairways and then escaping via a drainage pipe. I've never heard of such a thing, golfer Fred Funk told the Denver Post. It would be pretty scary if the bear got a little panicky and some spectator or some of the golfers were too close, though that wouldn't have been an issue if a caddy had gotten too close. And another large black bear apparently chased a group of marijuana farmers from a growing operation in rural Garfield County, according to sheriff's deputies who raided the site. Police found pipes chewed in half, food containers ripped apart, cans scarred by bites, claw marks and bear prints, and trees bearing claw marks, the Denver Post reported. If I can find this bear, I'm going to deputize him, Sheriff Danny Perkins said.
And in today's high country happenings, April 23rd is National Healthcare Decisions Day. Saturday, the Hospice of Montezuma is sponsoring a class from 8 a.m. to 12:30 at the Cortez Conference Center. April 22nd, Friday, Swap Till You Drop will be held from 4 to 8 p.m. at Love on a Hanger, East Main Street in Cortez. Upscale clothing swap benefits Renew and Wings Safe House. Drop off clothing by April 20th at Love on a Hanger. Tickets are $10 with clothing, $15 without. For details, 970-565, and I can't read the number. National Park Services are having their Park Week, April 16th to the 24th. This is America's largest celebration of national heritage. And best of all, during this time, admission to all parks are free. And you can go to nationalparks.org or Twitter #FindYourPark for more information. My end note today is it's 4/19, anniversaries of terrible incidents such as the Waco siege, the Oklahoma City bombings, and FDR taking the U.S. off the gold standard happened. But tomorrow is 4/20, known for something else. From ABC, the Denver Channel, they reported the following. Determined not to let a little snow steal the show, Denver 420 organizers are now hashing out a plan for an even bigger celebration in June or July. They also have high hopes of moving the event from Civic Center Park and hosting the mega smokeout at a huge venue. The annual Marijuana Festival was canceled Saturday because of heavy wet snow in Denver. Those in charge of Denver's 420 celebration met in a downtown law office Sunday to toke up over some cookies and coffee and plan the next big thing. Some pot shops said the snow snuffed out much of their business over the weekend. But business wasn't the only thing hurting over the weekend. Organizers said one of their headlined acts was unable to make it to Denver Saturday, and some vendors were encouraging them to postpone also due to the impact of the weather. Organizers said 90% of those who were planning to attend the rally were understanding of the postponement, while the other 10 were upset. Not to space out, there is still the High Times Colorado Cannabis Cup concert series and awards at the Ogden Theater today, even though it won't feature an expo this year. We'd love to share information about what's happening to support all of the regional groups, individuals, and communities, so send us an email, dcbnnews@gmail.com, or call us at the station at 677-411-9. All of the High Country Happenings info is on our Facebook page.
Again, thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
And you can also rewatch the broadcasts on YouTube at the DCTV News at Noon channel, and please like us on DCTV News at Noon Facebook page and follow us on Twitter.
Today is Talk Tuesday, so stay tuned. Right after today's news, we will come back to open the phone line for a live call-in show. If there's any topic of interest you'd like to talk about, give us a call. For Kendra Cook and all those who are working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.